A little over 2 months ago, Christians Dr. James White and Pastor Jeff Durbin had a debate with atheist Dr. Clark and Dan Ellis. Personally, if I were them, and if I were going to use their line of argument, I am not sure that I would agree to this particular debate. While I will not be doing a full review on this debate, there are a few observations that I would like to share. So one issue that I have with this debate is that although Dr. Clark and Dan Ellis seem to be intelligent people, it is obvious that they are not well studied in philosophy. If you were to take the average person off the street and discuss with them the transcendental argument for God, a lot of them wouldn't understand what the point that you're trying to make. And you know, many people don't even know what transcendental arguments are, and it is likely that they have not given much thought to the preconditions of intelligibility. Unfortunately, this debate involved a lot of talking past one another. It, to me, was like a dog and pony show of sorts. Debates should be about earnest discussions and not about talking past one another or putting on a show. Now, I am not saying that Dr. White or Pastor Durbin's intention going into this discussion was to put on a show, but I am afraid that this debate proved to be largely unproductive in regards to dialogue. I think it's important to note that intelligence does not equal wisdom. Not all intelligent people are knowledgeable of philosophy. After all, there are many things we can study in this world, and none of us has the time to study everything. Thus, intelligent people will have deficiencies in some areas of their thinking. I define intelligence as the ability to connect differing propositions and the ability to deduce theorems from what is already believed. This is not wisdom, for intelligent people can hold errant beliefs and still be intelligent. In contrast, wisdom involves the possession of the truth, and with that truth we, as believers, can discern all of the matters of this world. I say this because I have noticed a lot of mocking of these atheists, and in particular, a lot of mocking of Dr. Clark, because he was a big target in a lot of the comments that I read. Now we must remember that we as believers are enlightened to the truth and the discernment of God because of our spiritual rebirth and the gift of the inward witness of the Holy Spirit. Without these things, we would be no better off than Dr. Clark or Dan Ellis. As for the debate itself, Dr. White and Pastor Jeff Durbin clearly had the upper hand through most of the debate. The argument they gave collectively and what they defended was the transcendental argument for God. I am not convinced that the atheists understood the argument, and they barely engaged the argument at all. Dan Ellis kept his cool for most of the debate, but Dr. Clark pretty much took over the atheist side for most of the debate. Dr. Clark came off as angry and immature. He went so far as to bring a bottle of antifreeze, pour it in a glass, and offer to let any believer drink it in order to prove that Mark 9:18 is true. Now, this would be an example of testing God, and the way Dr. Clark approached this issue is very similar to how Satan tempted Jesus by trying to get Jesus to test God to see if God was really with him. It is commanded in Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 16 to not put the Lord your God to the test. And Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 16 is what Jesus quoted when he answered Satan. I will be doing a video on this particular part of the debate soon. Now, after the debate, Clark tried to continue the debate by arguing with Dr. James White and Pastor Jeff Durbin. He kept asking them to show him a miracle, and of course, Pastor Jeff Durbin and Dr. James White didn't oblige. Though Dr. White seemed annoyed with the situation, he was cordial while also admonishing Dr. Clark for his behavior. Pastor Jeff Durbin was patient with Dr. Clark and tried to answer his questions, but when he saw Dr. Clark wasn't planning on listening, he stopped talking to Dr. Clark. I am sure that Pastor Durbin interpreted this as a Matthew chapter 7 verse 6 type of moment. In this video, I gave some general impressions of the debate. My plan is to post another video or two that comments on specific portions of this debate. Or, if enough of my audience is interested, I will comment on the arguments that the atheists use in this debate. As a Word of Faith Messianic, the way I would approach these atheists would be different than how Dr. White and Pastor Durbin approached them. That is not to say that they were wrong to use a transcendental argument for God, or that they didn't do a good job overall. After all, there is more than one way to defend a position. There are some obvious disagreements that I have with some parts of how they handled the atheists. For example, I disagree with cessationism, and I view the issue of textual variance in Mark chapter 16 verses 9 to 20 as easily resolved in favor of Mark chapter 16, verses 9 and 20 staying in the Bible. My friend Rod Saunders has a great video on Mark chapter 16, verses 9 through 20 on his channel that I will share in the comments section. So if you do want me to do a commentary on the statements given by the atheists in this debate, and that is to say all of the formal statements they made throughout the debate, and maybe some analysis of the question and answer session, then let me know in the comments. Otherwise, I will be doing a shorter series of videos addressing specific issues in the debate, such as the issue of cessationism that is brought up, as in there was a certain period of time that God did miracles, and also the question about why didn't Dr. White or Pastor Jeff Durbin drink of the radiator fluid, or anyone else in the audience for that matter, drink of the radiator fluid that Dr. Greg Clark had given. I have an answer to that too, and I can tell you exactly why everyone who did not partake on that was exactly right not to. Until then, I hope you all have a great rest of your week, and God bless.